at all, but I just want to mention that without the effort of Knight Foundation and two grants that we have at the very beginning in 2014 and 2015, we wouldn't be able to scale and become and being able to be what we are becoming right now, from Momentum International to Momentum International Accelerator MIA Ventures for social innovation. Now, a lot of you guys must be asking yourself, what is social innovation? And we now have defined social innovation as the development of 5 main emerging economies: GovTech, HealthTech, Biotech, Urban Tech, and AdTech, education technology. We want to scale those startups and companies worldwide doing amazing things, bringing them to Miami, and we're going to be delivering more information about what the accelerator program looks like, and we want to invite you to our next event very soon in a couple of months. But thank you everybody for being here tonight, and I would like to also start introducing, and without further ado, just going into our panel. So anybody else that's in the room and anybody else that wants to join us, thank you so much for being here. So I just want to introduce our MC, Megan, who is not only and has been very involved with programs, tech programs in places like Rocker Labs and other programs that have been scaling and taking the tech community where it is right now. But before that, I want to also shout out some organizations and people that have helped us, to support us, to make it open to the public, to make it free with some food and some specials. The guys from 1306, thank you so much. Feel free to reach out to them, Mark, and everybody else from the team of 1306, and everybody else from the Beacon Council that's here. Thank you so much, Christine, Director of Innovation and Technology, Economic Development. And I would like to introduce Megan. Megan, thank you so much for being here. She's not only representing the women in tech in Miami, but it's also very proactive and very involved, and it's coming up with some tremendous programs in the next upcoming months. So thank you, Megan, for being our MC tonight. Please, let's give her another round of applause.
Welcome, everyone. Happy Thursday night. Happy happy hour. Happy end of the day. Happy almost end of the week. So what's really cool is we're in VR tonight. We're going to be on YouTube. We can watch ourselves in a headset later in 3D, which is going to be a lot of fun. But tonight we really want to drive the conversation around urban technology, what it's like to live in a smart city, where Miami is on that scale, what it's going to take to get us to being officially a smart city, and some other really cool technology and initiatives that are going on in Miami right now. So I just want to introduce and invite our panelists up to the stage. We have Mike Sarasti, who's the CIO, Chief Innovation Officer of the City of Miami. We have Mr. Stanley Rigaud, who is the Director of Economic Development and Trade and Business at the Miami Beacon Council. It's a big jump. I have to step backstage, guys, if your knees are, it's Thursday. We also have Mathieu Mechadou from Nos Labs and Art of Miami. And our other Stanley Pacheco, who's the founder of Drone College. Awesome, guys. So these gentlemen, I had to balance it out with the hormones on stage a little bit tonight, so we're going to have a lot of fun. And we should have a few minutes for questions from you guys at the end, okay? So guys, get comfortable by the microphones. If we need to pass around a little bit more, we will. So I want to kind of start, and we can just kind of keep this cycle going, and we'll start with standing on this end, and we'll standing on this end, if that works. But if we can just go and get started with each of you kind of telling us, from your perspective in Miami, what does innovation mean?
Is it on? Okay, good. Innovation. Well, for me, you know, the only constant in life is change. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Is that clear?
Yeah.
Up.
No, speak up.
Speak up. Okay. My philosophy is the only constant in life is change. So when I think of innovation, I think of how do we speak up, keep speaking up?
Keep going.
Good. When I think of innovation, to me that means, especially in Miami,
Yeah.
that works? Okay. In Miami, it's really about how do we improve life, how do we, it's not necessarily a smart technology or some new device. In my mind, when I think of innovation, it's efficiencies, it's improving how we do things today, it's understanding that we have a growing demographic and we have challenges to meet, and that's going to require that we are constantly adapting to life and are, number one, resilient, but thinking about new ways of doing things in a changing environment.
Hi everyone. We shared the same vision. Innovation is about adapting, and use something to make it better. It's enhancing thing to adapt to the era. So it's really use something that's existing and make it better.
So from our perspective over at the city, we've spent a lot of time trying to understand what that means. As innovation officer, the follow-up question is always, that's great, you're an innovation officer, what does that mean again? So we spent a lot of time actually trying to decipher that. And really it's the full range from process improvement all the way to some of these forward-thinking technologies. We've really doubled down on the process improvement side of things. We think that that's really where it's at. Last year we made a really huge shift within the city to focus on staff and give staff so we can bring them along on this innovation journey that we're on to really double down on the training. And we've been running a training course teaching a lot of them that innovation is really synonymous with process improvement. You don't need to be a technological expert. You need to know how drones work. You need to know about what sensor technology is. But if we give you the foundations, then all this other stuff is going to make a lot more sense.
From my side, I will think innovation is just look around. Look around what are the needs of the people, because sometimes when people want to innovate, they're just thinking about a new technology or something else that they want to create it or do new, but sometimes we forget that everything is done for people to other people, to serve the people, to serve needs. And that's the most important, is like not come with a new technology which change the world, maybe just improve something, like what they say, or solve a need that somebody has, and you create something to solve that need. And it's just like be aware of your surroundings, and that's how we get into drones, just looking around for the new technologies and how we can make it work for different companies, technologies, industries, and that's the beauty of the drones. That's innovating many industries at the same time, changing many industries forever. That's why we do teach people how the drones are innovating and changing those industries.
Awesome, thank you guys. Now you turn mine on.
This is the cool thing about technology, right?
We love AI, we hate AV, right? So one of the important things I think as we move forward tonight, guys, is to understand that nobody just said that innovation is technology, right? So technology is merely a tool in the way that we're driving forward in our cities, right? So looking at that and looking at technology as a tool to help us to innovate, solving real problems, like Stanley too said, that's really what it's all about. So from that perspective, and looking at the fact that we live in a city that has a lot of really interesting pieces and facets to it. How do you feel that innovation plays a role within kind of our urban landscape in Miami?
I honestly think it's a critical piece of any major city that wants to sort of stay on the cutting edge of what's going on and what are we doing. Excuse me. It's critically important that we have a strategy for innovation and that we approach it in a very organized way, and that we try to make sure that we have resources in place to make sure that we can innovate. And I think that the other very important piece is that, as we develop innovative ways of doing things, that we track it, we create some kind of metric system to see how well we're doing, benchmark against other cities, and that kind of stuff. But innovation is critically important, no matter the industry. It's something that, if we want to be a leading city in this country, we have to be innovating on a regular basis.
We believe that Miami has so much issues and challenges ahead that we see two sectors where technology can really improve issues, urban issues like traffic, pollution, or well-being, and supply chain process. So those are the real estate and the logistics. And we apply technology to solve those urban issues, and we are presenting a concept that we call Beta City to apply the building information modeling, the blockchain, and the Internet of Things, the connected objects, to solve urban issues. So we will explain later what it is about, but really technology can really solve a lot of urban issues today.
Yeah, it's kind of a fun problem to tackle in that you're to the point that a few other panelists have made already, that it is about solving people problems and coming from the user experience. So you want to create this space where you're being really responsive to people, letting the ideas kind of come from the people. And at the same time, you also have to create some kind of framework where all this stuff makes sense and can come into a place that's coordinated, and we can have a coordinated strategy that we can translate into data that's meaningful, that we can analyze, and we can look at in the future. It's a really hard thing to do, to both create a space for innovation and for creativity, and simultaneously have sort of this framework of structures as well. So we've been spending a lot of thought work thinking about that. Last year we received a grant from Knight Foundation. Anthony Martin, who's in the audience right now, is actually here tackling that problem and creating a roadmap for what are both the social issues that we need to take a look at, what are the technology issues that we need to take a look at, what both the cutting edge, who are all the players in that landscape, because while we are creating this space, it's going to be very important for us to have a coordinated strategic effort around it. So it's a lot of fun to tackle, but the structure and the ability to kind of rein it all in is a critical piece of making it meaningful. Because innovation has like a weird way that people be like, it's kind of, people think of it as kind of BS-y, right? When they're talking about innovation, like, oh, what does that mean? It's just this thing that happens. So you have to be able to keep moving that forward. You have to give those people that want like the hard nose, what are you doing? How are you advancing things? So that they can hold us to grab onto it.
For making innovation in big cities like Miami, the key point for keeping growing is like the governments and the companies, the institutions understand the new technology, how it's changed because, for example, in drones, in my area, regulation is one of the big barriers that we have to cross to make sure that these new technologies are going to improve the cities.
We're sorry.
Yes, I know. I know that, for example, we talked Miami about a lot of regulations about drones. We have to cross by that barrier to understand that it's a safer way to use this technology without damage any property or hurt some people. And that's as well as good in a way that create new companies like my company that we want to teach people how to use drones responsibly and teach the other companies, the government, everybody, how to use the technology responsible. And we need more of this type of company that teach the people, teach the government, teach the entities that these new technologies can be safe, can be useful for everybody, and can be, everybody can work around them and make it happen for everybody, and the 100% of the technology. In my case, or in the case of the drones, I think they're underestimated. They are not using as the way they should be using. We are like just seeing a little bit of what happening, and I think it's something with all the technologies. All the technologies have crossed by a lot of barriers with the government to understand how to use it, how to implement it, and even with the private companies happen the same thing. We need to start opening our minds, and we need to create companies like what we're doing in Brown College to helping the people to understand the new technologies and cross by barriers and make it approachable to everyone.
I agree 100%. And something that you said, Stanley, is really kind of stands out to me is teaching people how to use it responsibly. But also, and something that Mike kind of started hitting on is you also have to implement it responsibly, right? So taking into consideration the fact that not only do we have laws and regulations to work around, which is kind of the intangible infrastructure that we're dealing with, but we also have the people of all ages, backgrounds, and experience levels who are going to be interacting, observing, and commenting, and Miami is a very opinionated place as far as new technologies. But then also we have buildings, old and new, all different kinds of construction. So this next question is probably more directed toward Matthew and Mike, but being able to understand kind of how, both from a physical infrastructure piece and from an emotional infrastructure piece, Mike, like how do you responsibly kind of implement the right technologies without losing your stakeholders early on?
So the way we see it at North Labs, and I want to point that North Lab means collective mind in Greek. It's the idea that every action we take impacts others somehow, and we are all connected. So it's having this view of things where when we're going to implement the technology, we need to assess all the aspects and all the impacts. So as far as real estate, the real estate development has a lot of impact on society and on urban development and human. And the way we see technology can be a big help in leveraging this is to use building information modeling, for example, that allow us to create a virtual model of the buildings to implement technology in the virtual world before you get to implement it on site. And that's all about the project we want to promote is the beta city concept. We want to make Miami a champion of connectivity, and we want to make this process not mandatory, but we want to promote that process. So before implementing any technology, we will beta test it and run data analysis to see what are the impacts, and all technology interact with one another. And so we will avoid a lot of redundancies, a lot of mistakes on site, a lot of change orders that are consuming a lot of resources. So this has tremendous value for the whole ecosystem.
Yeah, I think that there's, again, our polarized world that we're living in now. Like on one end, you got to be really careful of like the sexy technologies, and everyone's like the shiny toy that everybody's wearing. It's like, oh yeah, we're gonna have driverless cars, and we're gonna have I don't know, machines that think for you. And then on the flip side, you have this tremendous fear about what this means for privacy. Obviously, very real things. We're experiencing that now. What we've seen with Facebook. And unfettered innovation that has actually left a lot of us susceptible, and people don't know what that means and they're wrestling with it. If you're in it, you sort of know why that happened, and in other ways, you didn't bring along the population with you to have this dialogue and this conversation. You're catching all these people up. So it's important that along the way that you are really doing the hard work and taking the time and not getting sort of entranced by, we deal with this thing all the time. We've got a lot of vendors that want to get their product, and they want to be first here at the city and get it done, and we totally welcome that, and it's great. But the pause is like, well, sure, if we're going to do this thing, we've got to make sure that you're also not doing it in the really affluent area of town where technology is now only benefiting the best among us, that we're actually using it to bring and do the best for society as a whole? You know, what are you going to do for putting fiber and connectivity so that everybody can benefit from this new technology? This is not just hopefully it's something that's actually pulling us apart and polarizing. So it's just a lot of taking a step back and at every point having a structured. You need to ask this question every time. What are we doing about privacy? What are we doing about inclusion? The same questions you would ask for anything else, you also have to ask when you're doing innovative work.
You know, I think running a city is the ultimate human-centered design, right? So you always have to keep in thought your constituents, your residents, and also the visitors, the people who aren't local to Miami, right? So then Stanley, as you're working with some more of these companies, right, you have a lot of companies who are here, particularly in the trade and logistics industry, but you touch a lot of companies over the course of a day. And then you also touch companies who want to come in. So how are you balancing that old or legacy versus new versus innovative? How do you handle that kind of conversation with your companies?
Yeah, you know, it's a little bit of a challenge because these legacy companies, they tend to push back on innovation. They want to kind of still do things with the clipboard and pen, and not realizing that you either innovate or you die. I mean, that's really where we are today. And I think
The company, not the
conversation is
person.
I'm sorry?
The company, not the person.
The companies. And so, you know, it is a difficult conversation. I think more and more, especially in the trade logistics side, people are starting to embrace these new solutions that are coming on board because we recognize that we're doing things in a very inefficient way. And so there's an opportunity for us to be more productive, to track things in a way that we didn't do before. And this is happening at all levels. Governments are starting to be a little bit more innovative in the technology that they're using. Companies doing the same. And again, a lot of it is the driver is this influx of people that are coming to the state, that are coming to our urban areas, and we've got to be more efficient in the way we do things. And that's really what it comes down to.
And then my understanding, so you focus on drones 100%. And a lot of citizens or people are really afraid of drones, right? Or we go all the way to the extreme, saying that A, they're going to attack us and kill us all because they're technically robust, right? And then the other side is that they only close themselves into thinking of two applications of drones, which is package delivery. So now I can get my popcorn and whatever other last minute Instacart needs we have on time and in a second, or taking pictures. So how do you kind of bridge that gap between showing that there's so much you can do with technology such as a drone?
The funny part is actually when I read about first thing about drones, I think about I'm gonna buy hundreds of them and I'm gonna deliver package everywhere. That was my idea. I was like, oh, I want to do that for like long time, and then I started like knowing that was like 6-7 years ago, and then I said like I realized that the regulations in place, it's technology, disadvantage. We are not in the point just like a couple of companies, big companies like Amazon and Google, some other companies that put millions of dollars in research and development. And one of the things is like the regulation, no? We are a little bit far away from the package. The technology is over there. They already have the technology. They already have a lot of improvements, like screening, that people screen, the drone is going to stop, something like that. It's amazing what we are doing, but it's regulation that is in place that is going to take some time to get to that point. But yes, people think about photos with the family, the delivery. But anytime people are getting more involved in drones, people are looking after, learn how to use it, because at the end of the day, these are sensors. What do we do? The drones is carrying sensors. Those sensors can do amazing things like agriculture, topography, 3D modeling, as we have a project with the Miami-Dade College that we want to come around to do the renovate GIS system and modeling for the whole downtown area, and bring students and people to get involved and learn this new thing. Now, the way we want to down the barrier that people think is just for photos and for videos and things like that is with the drone. That's our way, like educate people. It's the only way to educate people, and the good part is everybody's going to drones and they're starting with videos, they're starting with photos, and they're starting seeing that this market is packaged because 3-4 years ago, whatever who knows about this new technology, bringing it to videos, lower down prices in productions, but now everybody has a drone. Every photographer, every videographer will have, every production company will have a drone in this toolkit, which means you don't need it anymore the drone guy to come and to service you. You just need maybe the license, get the license and just a little bit of training and do it by yourself because it's a technology is very easy to use, it's very easy to develop. And those people who was being drones for a long time, they say, hey, what else we can do with drones? We can do mapping, we can do agriculture, high-precision agriculture, we can do spraying, we do modeling, we do thermal images, a lot of new things that you can do with drones that just need a little bit about is training. Somebody comes and train you. And what I see with the people, the companies, is when you get that training, when do you get that knowledge? You have to do by your own, spend a lot of money in drones, in cameras, in sensors, and that's why we are creating this opportunity to people come to one place and learn whatever they want. Learn about the agriculture, about the mapping, all those technologies or all those things where drones have an application. That's the only thing, is create programs. And we want to, those programs, keep it for us. We want to offer it to the community, we want to offer it to the college. We have been working in the past, but we can keep doing that. We keep training in our school, but we want to offer that to the community and to the local college and universities.
Sure.
To go back on the stakeholders and how we make the stakeholders happy, I think we are getting into a period of saving resources. We say that the data is the new oil. It's about lowering your operating costs by sharing information. Sometimes people work together in the same business or have the same partners for years, but they don't necessarily share the same information systems. And just by sharing simple information, we can, between people that work together, lower operating costs. So it's also about just sharing data, and with the Internet of Things and all the sensors coming to market, we're going to be able to lower a lot of operating costs. That's a huge gain for the economy.
Absolutely.
So going back to that point too, it's tricky in this space as well because again, tech is so sexy and it's like a flying robot happening over your head, and that's kind of cool. Coming back to like what that means for people is super powerful. We're doing some experimentation, some prototype, the power of the prototype. You know, like if we can scale it down to something really small that will allow people to really understand what those data points can mean in their lives. For example, we're doing a project now around climate change and regional resilience. We got funded by Bloomberg for the Mayor's Challenge, and we proposed what, we do a lot of discussion about what sea level rise is going to mean for the region as a whole, but we don't do a lot of talking about what it means for Megan, or what it means for Stanley, or what it means for me.
We talk about the very physical infrastructure piece, like, oh, my house is going to not be useful. Where do I go?
Right, but it's also not just that, but like, what can I do, right? So we're having, the city's trying to do things, and we're trying to do things with collaboration. People are talking about using drones. There are actual, once you understand that, like, hey, if you understand what the elevation in your area is, if you have a 3D map of your region, all of a sudden people can get really creative about how they, raise their homes, or what modifications they can make, what mitigation they can take. So it's really drawing that connection between the tech that maybe, we get a lot of nerds up here on this on the stage, right? So like, we love this stuff and we kind of live and breathe it, but really, how do we take those data points and make them meaningful for people and like what matters in their lives? And then they can do what Matthew was talking about, which like, it will actually reduce your insurance costs. It will reduce, you will be able to keep your home for 100 years versus 50 and pass it down to your family. And I think drawing those connections, we can't skip that step as we do this.
I think it's actually, we use the term smart cities just so we have a term,
Yeah.
but it's more about living intelligently, operating intelligently as a community.
Absolutely. We say that the smart city is not a collection of new skyscrapers. It's a community of people that agree to build an infrastructure that is able to scale and upgrade autonomously. Ultimately, the buildings will be made so they can communicate with one another and they can prevent events or wearability and order pieces for change by themselves. Really, that's the end goal. And with the use of artificial intelligence and the proper technology, I think that's the end goal. And for that, we propose the beta city before as a first step to become ultimately a smart city.
Right. I think that it's prototyping, right? So I think that when we talk about smart cities, we all think about the end product, right? But we have to get there somehow. And I think that starting virtually is really interesting for a lot of different applications.
Yes.
So my next question for all of you would be kind of as we talk about the way that people react to technology or the way that technology can empower us to react, things are changing at a really fast pace right now, both from a technological development perspective and, as we feel in Miami, a climate change, right? So I said it, guys. I said the C word. So thinking about that and thinking about the fact that up until this point, governments, processes, grants, all of these other things have really been reactive in a certain nature and to a really far extent. So how can we use kind of this concept of a smart city and urban technology to be able to help us become more proactive in a much more quick or expeditious timeline?
So, Matthew mentioned collaboration. And really, I think at the foundation of this, in order for us to move forward with innovation in a way that is going to be beneficial to the community, we have to really start to collaborate. We've got to connect with academia, with the universities, your economic development organizations. Really, when I think of social urban development, it's really economic development. Social urban innovation is economic development. And so, it used to be that when we think of innovation, it's in San Francisco. And now you're seeing more and more cities migrating that concept of innovation to urban areas where the problems really are. 305. So really, at the end of the day, the way we go from reactive to proactive is we have to really develop this culture of sharing information, trusting in each other, investing in each other. News Labs is a perfect example of a project that everyone should be investing in. Everyone here should find out what News Labs is all about and find out how do I get involved, how do we promote this Beta City project. Because
You didn't even have to make a plug.
I don't think you can pay me for this now. Because at the end of the day, Miami is, again, we have all the right elements to make this happen. We've got the diversity, we've got all that energy that's going on, and yet, for some reason, as you said, we tend to be more reactive than proactive. But it's really a matter of us trusting in each other, taking that leap of faith, promoting it, but also investing in it.
I think that's really important. And one thing that you said that I want to just make sure that everybody had a chance to hear it is that urban innovation is economic development, right? Economic empowerment is innovation. So making sure that we understand that you're not just here to bring more companies in and find incentives. It's a kind of misnomer that we all have at some point in our lives about what economic development is. But we're all kind of responsible for the success and growth of our city, including our economic developers, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, and I want to give a heads up to Stan because he's doing a fantastic job with the Beacon Council and helping us. No, he didn't pay me for that either, but he's been very involved and is helping us gather the stakeholders because the approach we have is to reverse the research and development cycle. Instead of letting technology develop and come to market, we want to gather first the stakeholders, see what are their challenges, what are their issues, and they all need the same technology. They all need augmented reality, virtual reality, artificial intelligence. But which kind? for what use. So what we do with the Beacon Council is analyze the needs and then call on technology to come in and make proposals in the virtual world so we can test it beforehand and apply the right technology to the right needs. So logistics is different than real estate. And so each city is different. Each city has its own challenges and competence and champions. So by analyzing the situation of each city, we can create a roadmap where we want to go in 10 years from now, what technology will be needed, and create the curriculums with the universities. And that's what we want to do, also to bring down the barrier price of this technology, because that's also one of the issues. And by using universities to develop programs, to do beam modeling, scanning with drones, all that, we're going to break and commoditize these things that are crucial to the cities.
And we can work much quicker.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, I mean, to the point I kind of made at the beginning, we're dead in the water, sorry, pun intended. If we don't really focus on the capacity building piece that I'm talking about, and really working with universities, this is only a problem that we're going to be able to solve if everybody is able to participate. It's not going to be solved by any one of us sort of working in some ivory tower somewhere trying to tackle and, do fancy, beautiful mind math in our heads solving all our pressing problems. It's going to be something that's inclusive, that looks at all the neighborhoods that we have, that allows people to participate and engage, open technologies that allow people to be able to plug in. I just talked about this a lot. Everything, it's all about how you can plug into this platform and be able to participate. And abstract some of those things so that people feel more comfortable. So certainly we're super excited and relieved that these things are happening.
Yeah.
The way we want to build it, and we are building a platform that is a virtual model of the city. So we want to model the port, the airport, the train, which are the main place where goods and people come in and out, and link them to buildings downtown or other places. And so the idea is to create this ecosystem where you have a constant communication between people and companies. Yeah.
And so Stanley, I want to kind of reframe the question a little bit for you, but because of the fact that you are working with drones, and if we look at, I really hate using Uber as an example, but they were the ultimate kind of guerrilla startup, and in fact, in the way that they started and then let regulation catch up with them. And I think that we can all agree that regulation is one of the slowest pieces to move in a city, especially in the traditional sense. So looking at forcing kind of regulation to become reactive, and then looking at a proactive way of implementing drone technology, how do you go about doing that?
I think recap everything about the question and how you reframe it is sharing information is the most essential part of everything. Understand that every city has its own soul, and you don't want it to interact with. And every country as well has its own soul, the way to do things, the way to react to problems and technologies and regulation. In drones is very, very funny. In drones happen the same thing. Drones go out to the market. I think at the beginning, not everybody think was a big thing. They just start flying robots and it's not going to go anywhere. I think the regulators think about it, but when they feel that it's a very big thing, that is a flying robot which interacting with our airplanes to carry on people and can cause damage and accident, they start reacting, and they start reacting very hard. And the first regulation was very difficult to follow up. Or the first proposal they do was the part one, the 338 exemption, which is required for people to be like a pilot. Essentially, you have to be at least a pilot to fly drones commercially, and just make a big stop for the community, for the technology, for like a year or two. Then the FAA take a lead, and the White House asked them to work in a regulation to implement drones into the airspace. And then we come up with more approachable way. That's the place now, which is the Part 1 and 7, who don't require people to be a pilot. They require people know about the airspace, about the performance of the drones, about several things that even though are a little bit challenging for people who are not in the aeronautical sector to get that knowledge. That's why we create these courses to make it easier for the people to get that knowledge. But the funny part is that all the other countries look back at the US and do the same thing. They put really similar regulations everywhere from US to down in Argentina. And I think this way to react to things and copy is not a good thing. It's not a good thing, copy paste. It's good to look at the people who are taking the lead and feel how it's work, what is it, but you cannot be copy paste everything. And I think that's something that regulators sees, has to talk with the community, with the people who knows about the technology, with people who knows about drones, and ask them, hey, what's happening, what you are doing, work with the companies, and instead of putting another regulation as barrier that's going to stop technology to keep growing, ask them, what do you need to keep growing, and what do you need from us to keep growing, but at the same time be safe, be approachable, keep interacting with people, and think this is something to be proactive about smart cities or regulation. Is the government has to work directly with the community, with the people who know the thing. Some of the things I think that I feel, because I saw it in drones, is that they do the regulation, and then they start like, people start screaming and fighting and blowing at some point, and then they start taking around. I think that the approach for cities, because cities are run by the government, I don't think. Everybody knows it. But they have
Government's elected by the people.
yeah, but they don't listen after they go there, they don't go back to the people or the community and say, how we regulate that.
Yeah.
Like for example, in the tech, not in everything they have to ask, but in the tech community, which like you have big companies that have a big, strong voice, ask them what we need from you guys, what you can teach us to regulate, and not regulate and then ask them. I think this process has to be regarded. You have to go to the company, go to the people who knows the products, the services, the technology, and then create the regulation accordingly of the needs and the pain of these people.
Absolutely. I think you just kind of dropped the mic on that one. There's a lot that came out there, you know, and I think that, again, going back, Mike, you've done a great job in your short tenure so far, in actually focusing on the city and the residents here, and making sure that even when it's something as quote-unquote simple as a website revamp, that's a really big undertaking when you have so many different types of people coming in. That's where human-centered design comes in. Again, it's not just about this sexy technology. It's not just about finding the next shiny brand or just bringing in a really big shiny tech organization because it's a really big shiny tech organization. It's looking at how that's going to impact the city, how the entrepreneurs are going to be able to continue to thrive, or whether they will be once that happens, and like how you can create a real ecosystem from every step we take together. And the only way we can get that information is by collaborating. Right? So I want to kind of talk, I want to make sure that we have time to talk a little bit about data before we open it up to audience questions.
Yes!
Woo! So, again, Mike, you said it. It's a bunch of like nerds on the stage, which is a lot of fun. I like it. But I have a three-pronged question as far as data, because it's different for everybody. But A, how do you figure out what you're going to measure? B, how do you actually sort through all of that data once you get it? And C, like how do you redefine or measure the impact of what you've implemented based on the data that you've collected or not collected?
So from an innovation standpoint, as you know, we have a innovation committee focused on trade logistics. And so one of the things that we thought was really important that we do is do a sort of an inventory of who's out there, you know, and that was really important because unless you kind of know who's out there, it's hard to kind of measure anything. So the first thing is doing an inventory, figuring out what do we have from an innovation standpoint. The second thing I think that we're doing is, and you know this, Megan, because you've taken the lead on this, is recognizing what our assets are here, and this idea of how do we scale in a measurable way. It's GTLA, the Global Training and Logistics Accelerator Program, to help companies scale and see how we can provide solutions to our ports or our seaports or our rail. So, from a metric standpoint, it's great to count the number of new companies that are coming to Miami, but at the end of the day, it's how has those companies really moved the needle forward for us from an innovative standpoint. I'm not sure that we're there yet, but that's the direction we're heading to.
It's about making the impact and outcome sexy rather than just the superficial data.
Yeah, it's really a case-by-case basis, but really it comes back again to collaboration and sharing the data, and you realize that some data might be relevant for some other businesses, and this is the kind of data that you want to track. And I can give you an example. For instance, you can link cruise lines to retailers. That way, when a ship is blocked in Miami for bad weather, for example, for 3 days, suddenly you have 3,000 people that are going to be stuck in Miami. So it might be a relevant information for hotels, might be a relevant information for retailers, for the city to organize for events or for better take care of those people. Take a building, for example. In the building you have maybe 10 different systems, electricity, the HVAC, and all that information can be tracked and analyzed to do prevention planning, to prevent if you have a leak, you can prevent it, you can send information to contractors and program smart contracts for, as I said, the building to automate itself. So it's really a case-by-case basis on function of the industry, the needs, and I think we will see a lot of breakthroughs. We're going to see a lot of breakthroughs, and we're going to realize that, oh, wow, that information was super relevant, and I wasn't able to collect it before. And that's when it's going to be really exciting as well.
So people come as like innovation guy, people come to me and are constantly like talking about big data and smart cities and just a lot of fancy words. I probably have a joke that's a little bit stale at this point where people come and asking me about big data. I'm like, I'm just trying to get people to use spreadsheets right now.
The same spreadsheets.
The same, just master that sheet. Yeah, and there's so obviously like it is really about like the outcome of stuff, but sort of focusing on outcomes. There's been this pushback on counting things, right? Like, oh, why are you just counting? All you're doing is counting, how many permits or how many. And sort of in the metric and performance realm, there's a little bit of pushback on that. We've taken a different route, which is like, you know what? All we want you to do is count things, but let's actually learn how to count things because you've been counting all wrong the whole time. And we've been taking a step back from that in all the innovation work that we do and giving people a framework within innovations of how they can, like the different types of things you can count. You can count money, you can count errors, you can count how many widgets you're producing, you can count time and how much time you're spending on residents. And that's something they can relate to. So how do you make the numbers and the metrics relatable to people? So if someone's sitting at a front desk, they can tell you roughly how many people they see a day. They can tell you roughly how long transactions take. And all of a sudden, people start drawing a connection to these numbers rather than like, hey, what are you reporting this month? Or this report that they're used to seeing. So we're really, to be honest with you, as a city, not at the point where we're doing this like, fancy, forward-thinking data science kind of math. We're really at the step where we're like telling people, all right, just get comfortable with counting things. We're not going to be able to do. Other people are doing fancy math. Other people are doing really great data science in this community. Other people are figuring out how to make good data work. We got to start working on how we start meeting those people halfway. So most of our conversation on metrics is like, let's go back to 1, 2, 3. This kind of stuff.
Yeah. No, I think that's a huge asset because understanding that there is an organization in place that can handle that counting, hopefully once you've accomplished your job, is that now there's more data for us all to use and start building off of.
Right? It's right. Like because people are investing here. It's accurate. Which there's a number, there are data sets, databases, but I have, people are like, oh, make that open. And I'm like, everyone knows I'm like super open data advocate, but you can't just flip the switch on these things. Like it really, you've got to bring the people that have had a handle on it. So we've taken a step back a lot from that conversation and just doing sort of ground level fundamentals.
But I think that's really important in being able to kind of literally crawl before you walk and understanding that we're building a strong foundation. Again, avoiding those shiny, sexy objects flying around, not the drones. But going back to square one, saying like, okay, but what do we have? Right, and I think that's really important.
It's going to be easier to do all the big fancy data science stuff later. And it's not just one or two people doing it. The whole city at large and the people that are bringing on this conversation around.
Sam?
In my point of view, it seems like data, importance of the data is the quality more than the quantity. Now, some my background is an economist, and I learned that in my college that is what you do with the data is what is important. So you do with the data, how you analyze it, how you really think that can solve a problem, and how you can model it correctly. Because with data, you can do models that can hypothetically resolve any problem, and it's not right. And in drones, in general, what the people doesn't know is like drones are just a data collector machine. That's the only thing they do. They just reduce the price how to collect the data. But because you learn about drones, you are not now an engineer. Like you don't become an engineer or a building inspector or whatever. Like you need to utilize that data right. You need to know how to collect it right, how to implement it right, how to analyze the data right. And that's one of the failures in the drone companies when they started. They think because they know about drones, as an example, now they're like everything. It's not like that. It's how you collect that data, that you collect it right, and you process it right, you analyze the data right, and this does all fields, not just drones, or the application of drones. So government, smart cities, everything is first collected right, be accurate with the data collection, analyze it, filter it right, and then use it to prove not whatever you want to prove, have a strong argument, and have a strong solution for that argument, and make sure that that makes sense. That makes sense, the hypothesis that you put in place, and not try just to make you like feel that you are right and you collected the data to support or back up your point. And that's I think is very important for companies who is going into tech fields and it's going to be in drones. Hey guys, you need to understand that you need to know what you do with the data. And the drone, for example, the drone or the sensor, which is talking about IoT, the data collectors. If you are not properly using that data, it's just a bunch of crap. Sorry, but it's right. You are like with the effort that Matthew saying you are doing in not to really not just get data, it's the proper data and use it and share it and implement the right is the most important thing in any technology. Drones are a very good example.
Yeah, and I think one of the things that you've talked about tonight that really I think is important is that you can go online and go on YouTube and learn anything you want to, in theory, right? But then understanding the full ecosystem in which you're operating is a whole different piece, right? So being able to have the different levels through something like drone piloting. Oh, I want to learn how to fly a drone. Well, you're not going to just learn how to fly a drone. You're going to start learning about the impact of drones and the potential of drones and everything that drones affect and that affects drone technology. So, gentlemen, I appreciate the fact that you guys have taken the time to really kind of dive deep on some of this stuff. But I do want to open it up to the floor. It's your turn now. You can clap first. You guys did a great job. Thank you so much. But I want to see if anybody else in our audience has any insightful questions, comments, concerns, complaints. White.
We talk about what City of Miami is doing right now in terms of how we're moving in this direction with smart cities, and if anything is being laid down in terms of a backbone or a pilot project that takes into consideration, particularly with a resilience lens.
That's an excellent question. So what we did is ask if City of Miami, what in particular is being done in the City of Miami to prepare for resiliency, innovation, smart cities, et cetera, et cetera. And I know that both of you, so maybe you both have.
Nothing, we're doing that. I mentioned a couple of them before. So one is the two particular funders have done does a great service in helping us out on this. We've got the Knight Foundation grant that's helping us map out what the vision is for the next few years. Smart Cities Council also provided a grant last year to help us with some road mapping. So there's a lot of assessments going on in terms of what that means, what we need. I think that's ultimately going to help us get better value from the vendor community. There's a lot of people sort of offering a lot of things, everything from 5G to drop fiber. There's a number of things that are out there. I'm actually really excited that we're taking a minute. We have some people that have invested in us doing this right in a structured way. We also have some Bloomberg funding specifically around resilience and what smart sensor technology can do to inform individual people. There's also the Rockefeller 100 Resilient Cities that coordinates between cities, City of Miami Beach and Miami-Dade County. There is now in the phase 2 project a specific arm that is working on data in smart cities and what that means in terms of sensors and what that means for regional resilience. So there's a ton of discussion that we're having around. We're doing a lot of what open data means and how we can provide better information to our educational community. Sensors and what sensors are producing, how we're gathering that in a structured way and sharing it back. A lot of discussion around standards. So, we don't want 3 different companies producing a ton of data in 3 totally uncoordinated kind of ways. Whatever happens has to be done in a coordinated fashion. I think that is something, watching what other places I might have gotten a jump start in smart cities. You've seen that problem happen in other cities where, you hear Boston, you hear, a number of other cities, and they've got, they're doing a ton of stuff with sensors and smart data. Well, we don't want 50 different blocks with 50 different implementations that are all pilots that don't necessarily connect and interrelate. If we're going to do a pilot, we want to do it because we're testing a standard. We're doing something. I'm fascinated by the work that is happening with Beta City in terms of doing it in a coordinated kind of platform way. So
what we are doing and proposing is to create a backbone for technology to be developed. And the way we see it is as a Lego base. If you take a Lego from the 70s, you can plug a Lego from today and it will be the same in 20 years from now. So that's the idea behind what we are doing. We want to bring a base to a platform that will be able to upgrade and get modules to come in form of API, plug into the platform and be developed and be upgraded and be changed. And the idea of perpetual change that we want to install. And so what we are bringing is a platform with a natural user interface. It means a representation of the real world, and that integrates different systems. So it's like a SimCity per se, in which you are going to implement different modules of AR, VR, and these modules will be developed with universities. So we work with FIU, for example, on the pilot on blockchain for supply chain. We work with MDC for the drone mapping or for beam modeling. And so we will create curriculums to implement that platform with the stakeholders. And so the idea is to upgrade this platform, and over the years it will improve. The more we use it, the more computing power we'll have, the more storage, etc.
Awesome. Any other questions?
I was just going to one comment. I think, and this is what's really important about innovation is that we really need to make sure that the private sector has the lead on it. Because as you know, while we need government for sure, but sometimes they can be a little bit slow. And so at the end of the day, what's really, it's true, it's just there's the bureaucracy that's built into that. And so it's so important that when we have private companies like Boost Lab or Art of that's doing this kind of work, that we take the time to listen and learn about it. Sometimes it can be a little complicated, but we have to take the time to learn and then again, invest in it. At the end of the day, we've got to invest in it. But we really need our government entities to be the backbone behind it at the end of the day, which is why you started with universities as sort of those established institutions. But at the end of the day, in order for these things to work, we're going to need government to be the backbone.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's the idea behind it is also to create the economics behind it, because all this technology will develop anyway. So instead of letting them develop in an anarchic way, that if we have the stakeholders behind it to run those pilot programs with universities, they make sure they will hire the good people that will have been formed for pilot program, etc. And so this idea, public, private, universities, this is really the magic formula.
Awesome. Thank you guys. Any other questions? Yes.
Or you can whisper in my ear now.
First of all, congratulations for you guys on this. Very intrigued, have been very intrigued, hearing responses and basically the diversity of the topic. It's awesome. My question is, I come from the corporate world. I've been in corporate world for 30 years. In the corporate world, the studies of the import innovation basically from what's trending versus creating a culture of innovation. You know, as a city or in the public sector, what is Miami doing to create homegrown innovation, not from expected sources, but from the bottom up and the general citizenship?
Internally as a city or for the public as a whole?
To create well, to have this citizenship, have involvement in understanding that they're participants or co-participants in creating this cultural mentality as a city, that there is actually just like homegrown practices in innovation.
Yeah, so I'll address it both ways. So we run internally, which I think is important to make sure that the city itself is representing a culture of innovation. We run an innovation academy. We actually train 20 city employees every month. We've trained about 100 at this point. We started 4 or 5 months ago. We teach them for 2.5 days. We pull them away from their jobs and teach them all kinds of tools and techniques around what it means to be innovative, what process improvement means. That has been, I think, extraordinarily powerful to get government employees that didn't think innovation was their job to get them to really think about their jobs differently. Oh man, I can fix this small thing. No innovation is too small. We are doubling down on that and truly believe that that's going to be the key for residents as they come through to see that, because that kind of stuff is contagious. Culture change requires that you have a certain level of critical mass, and it requires an incredible amount of energy and attention. So we're putting the attention for sure on the employees, and innovation is not falling in the hands of one person. We shifted that around about a year ago, where it was all kind of happening in my office, and innovation is this thing that happens up in the manager's floor, and really have said, no, it's not about that, it's about the employees. So that's been essential. We've taken that and any opportunity that we have to incorporate user testing and let people co-create what we're doing. We're taking that opportunity and we challenge all our employees as they go through this Innovation Academy. Anything that they have on their radar, use co-creation techniques to make that work. We've done it with our website, which thank you for highlighting that. We've built 50 of the top city services from the ground up, content that didn't exist. And we've gone out to the community. We find groups like Code for Miami, which is a volunteer brigade that has been around for 4 or 5 years now. And we make sure that they attend our Innovation Academy, that they come with us and help us to feel a part of making our website better. We've been using that website as an example. Hey, we've done this with a website. We should be doing this around every application that we build within the city. Anything that we implement should have a phase there where we're doing constant continuous improvement and checking in with our residents and making sure that we're building things that they want instead of spending 2-3 years building things that they don't want.
And confused.
Yeah.
Stanley, I think you wanted to add something to that?
I was just going to say, I think like one of the things that we're doing is we feel that it's important that we're constantly including young people. So, for example, on the trade logistics side, we're making sure that we're engaging young folks that are in high school or even middle school level, so that we start to develop that culture of being around professionals and listening to that, that buzzword of innovation, so that it starts at an early age. Because I think right now, the young generation, they get it without using those new words, and we just have to make sure that they're always around the older generation.
Interoperability.
I'm sorry?
Interoperability.
Interoperability, for example, we talked about that. But I think that's what I think at the professional level, I think it's important that we just make sure that we're connected not just with the universities, but also at the middle school level, at the high school level, because they want to develop labs for this. They want to train students in a way that as soon as they're ready for college or an apprenticeship program or whatever it is, that they already have the basics there to create and develop that culture. So I think that's a key element to me.
Awesome. Stan, you wanted to add something else?
Yes, I think talking about the corporation comparable with the government, I think it's good that the government in a way is allowed for reactive things as the corporation as well, because then that creates the opportunity for the startups and the entrepreneurship to start thinking before the government and the corporation do it and use them as a resource to resolve those problems. And I think that's, in a way, it's good that the corporation don't want to do everything by their own, that they own, and it's good for like the companies that the government as well do the same thing. And I think it's also a responsibility of the citizens. The citizens, they say, okay, I want to be an innovator, I want to solve this problem for my city, I want to resolve this problem for this big corporation that I saw. And that's create a new job opportunity, and that's the kind of thing we want to do with the drone college and in NOSLAB in general, because we are part of the NOSLAB community. We created the drone college program where we're trying to work together with Miami-Dade College to also do projects that everybody's involved, the private, the city. We want to talk to Michael what they are doing now, that is the idea, because get the city together. But I think this is a responsibility for everybody to come together and say, okay, you're not doing that, listen to me, and I have the problem solved, let's work together. I think that's really an opportunity, and it's good for everybody that, in a way, the government is as well.
There's an idea that we saw when we met the people from the port of Rotterdam, if you remember. This is an initiative that I opened to government entities, would be to create some facilities to simulate work environments. The idea would be to take different students from different sectors and make them as if they were working in facilities that would be financed through R&D money from companies. And I saw that from the port of Rotterdam, where students were simulating freight forwarding, an entire operation, and they go to the office in the morning and they act as if they were working. And I thought that was a very good way to stimulate people to work and get interested in new technology.
100%. Crossing old school and new school is definitely important, especially now. So in the sake of time, I do want to kind of wrap up our question section, because I know everybody's going to want to kind of meet you guys, talk to you guys a little bit more in depth about some of the things that we talked on. And thanks 1306 for hosting us, City of Miami-Dade Beacon Council, NOSLAB, Drone College, everybody else who's here to be part of all the amazing things happening. You know, we are getting ready to launch a logistics accelerator. We have NOSLAB in the Beta City initiative. We have Drone College. And guys, seriously, like if you were interested in any way, shape, or form in drones or how they could play a role in your life or work or play, seriously talk to Stanley, because they're currently accepting students for the next cohort for Drone College, and it's going to really be able to give us a much more user-friendly and city-friendly way of looking at the way these technologies can affect the way that we operate.
The student already noticed we can have time to talk to everybody. Our next cohort is going to start in April 7 and 8. Just 2 weekends. In the first weekend, you guys can learn about the regulation and how to become a drone pilot, which is under the Part 107. It's a new possibility that you can use your drone for your company or for work for other companies. I was talking to somebody from the audience that was telling me, hey, I know a company who's working for Lenar and other big corporations in the construction industry, and they need a bunch of pilots, and they're very well paid, and it's not enough. And we want to connect you guys to to your students go directly to the corporations and start getting jobs right away, and that's what we want to do. We want to be like a bridge between the pilots and the corporations and teach everybody safely how to use the drones. Just so that you know, guys, you don't need a drone to come to our class. We will provide you all the drones in the school. You will learn about how to fly effectively, how to get your Part 1 and 7. And if you don't know what drone you're wanting to do it, we will have a bunch of them, all types of drones. You play around with them. Don't worry, we are gonna guide you through a proven training concept that when you touch the big drones, the real one, the DJI ones, which is the one the brand we represented, you will be fully prepared to go ahead. One of the questions people ask is, oh, I don't want to buy $1,000 drone because I'm gonna break it. That's a possibility. Now you are not gonna break it. You're gonna pay a really small amount. If you reckon it's gonna be my drone, and I will make sure that you will prepare it. And I don't want to lose $1,000 plus. And that's our effort is get you at the point that you are very proficient and you have enough skills to touch those drones and go out and get a market for your company. Introduce you to your companies. A lot of people who are training in this class are already signing for roofing. They want to do roofing inspections and they want to start using drones. Insurance adjusters, people in the real estate industry, engineers. A lot of people who are like want to use those drones. And we are going to create more programs in every field, in every niche that you can apply to your niche, to your market. And thank you so much, and thank you for the time to listen to us, and I hope you have a great night.
Just to summarize, so Northstab is a smart city lab. If your company or if you know people that develop smart technology, I mean that connected technology with sensors, smart plumbing, smart windows, roofing, or you have an idea or an app or software that can solve city issues or health, especially in the logistics side or real estate, that's what we do, and we did this Beta City project at Northstab. So please feel free, visit the website, send us an email, find us on LinkedIn.